In this video, I'm going to show you all the guidelines for typing a research report. Now remember, you are going to need to copy these notes. So please, if you haven't already, open up a blank Word document and we'll begin. So these are the guidelines for typing a report. Now, throughout this document, we're going to learn about the several components of a research report. And the first component we're going to speak about is the title page. Now, as I instructed in class, the title page is optional. All right. Now, depending on the requirements of your teacher or your professor, you may need to have one. But here's how you do it. So you want to make sure the title of your report is centered at the top third of the page. All right. Also, you want to make sure that your text is double spaced. Now, the information that you have to include in the title page are the writer's name, which will more than likely be your name or a group that you're participating with. Also, your teacher's name. And this information will be in the middle of the page. You also need to include the name of your class. This will be in the bottom third of the page, and the date, which will also be in the bottom third of the page. Now, with the date, I would recommend only using the month and year, all right, because oftentimes you will never really complete a research project in one day. So you can't really choose one day in which to put as the date for your report. So month and year. And sometimes you may want to include your email address and phone number. You can include that on the bottom of the page as well. So let me show you an example of what that would look like. All right, so we're going to find our example of the title page. Let's see. Okay, here we are. So here's our example of the title page here. Notice the title of our report. It's at the very top, the top third. In the middle of this page, we have our name and our teacher's name. And then at the bottom, there is the name of the course and the date. All right, so there's our example of a title page. So let's move on. Let's talk about the title section component of a research report. Now, regardless of if you have a title page or not, you will want to include a title section. And the title section is very similar to the title page, except it's going to be typed in the top left margin of the first page. All right. And the same information is going to be included. That's going to be the writer's name, your teacher's name, your class name, and also the date. And what that would look like is this. So we're in the top left margin of the first page of our document. Disregard the the 6 up here. You know, we've got a lot going on in this particular document here. But this is what the title section will look like. We've got the writer's name, the teacher's name, the class name, and also the date, followed by the name of your report. All right, and then the report begins. Let's move on to talk about the next component. Now, the header. The header is the very top of your document. It's the very top margin, typically a space that cannot be written in unless you absolutely want to write into that section. And I will show you how in just a moment. But this section is going to include your last name, the writer's last name, followed by a page number. And we're going to keep it really simple. And we're also going to type this information in the right margin. And we can scroll to the top of this page to see what that would look like. So to open up the margin, you would just double tap in the margin area. To open up the header, you would double tap in the top margin. Notice how we have our page number here. We can click options And we can choose page numbers to, give out to format our page numbers to set them how we want to set them. We can choose whether or not we want to show page numbers on the first page. In the case of if we had a title page, I would not put a page number on the title page. So if that was the case, we would uncheck this box here so that the first page number will not display on the title page, and number 2 will begin on the page following. So we're going to uncheck that box. We're going to click apply, and I'm going to type your name. Type your name, give it a space, keep it simple. Notice how if you look at the very top in our ribbon section, you'll see that our text is right aligned. All right. So this is how you align your text in the right side of the margin. All right. So let's talk about the body of the text. So the body of our report is where all of our information will go, all of our paragraphs, our in-text citations, and everything that we've researched about and are writing about is in the body. Now, for the body of our document, we want to make sure that text is also double space. Double space makes everything more easily readable or legible. One of those words. All right. Now, to also make our report more legible, we want to use an appropriate font and a appropriate font size. I would not suggest using any text font size bigger than 12. All right. A lot of times students use text bigger than 12 to take up more space in their document, because maybe the teacher has given them some requirements to like a page limit requirement, and they're trying to take up a lot of space to meet that requirement. But for a good, professional, nice looking report, you never want your text size to be bigger than 12. And I would even go as far as saying no smaller than 11. I think the default text size is 11 for most word processors. So whether you're using Microsoft Word or you're using Google Docs, the text size default will be 11. And as far as the font type, keep it simple. All right. Make sure that it can be read easily. That's really important for the font type. All right, so let's see what's next. Let's see what is next for the body. Also, in the body of our report, we did mention no text size bigger than 12. All right, and you also don't want to increase your line spacing more than 2.0. It would just look weird. All right, now 2.0 is double space. All right, it's measured in inches. So 2.0 is double space, and you don't want your text size no bigger than 2.0. There is going to be occasions where you might want to decrease the text size. I know sometimes when I write reports, I may do 1.5, depending on, what the document is looking like, but no more than 2.5. Also, this is a really controversial topic here. The spaces after punctuation marks. I know when I was growing up, I learned to type 2 spaces after my periods. And I've always, been consistent with that. But nowadays, I'm hearing that students are being taught only 1 space. But I'm gonna leave that decision up to you. I like 2 spaces. It's just muscle memory for me. When I type, I always hit spacebar twice after a period. You may hit it 1 time, but I hit it twice, and I think I like the way it looks. And I don't think it's even noticeable, but whichever you prefer. All right, 1 or 2 spaces after your punctuation marks. You definitely will need at least 1 space. No more than 2, though. I think if you do more than 2 spaces, you will get a grammatical error. So just keep that in mind. All right. So another thing for the body of our report is that we need to indent all of our paragraphs. And we know that to indent, we press the tab key on our keyboard. So to indent, we press the tab key on our keyboard to indent all of our paragraphs. Now, as far as our titles in the document, this is also preferential. All right. So you can either bold, italicize, or underline your titles, depending on what you want your document to look like. You have a little flexibility there. You can use all three. You can use any combination of the three. But depending on how many titles you have and how they are distinguished from one another, you may choose one format over the other. All right. And also, something that's preferential is whether or not you want to center your titles or keep them aligned to the left. All right, that's really up to you and how you want your document to look. Now, depending on who it's for or what the report is about, you may want to keep everything like you may have multiple titles. If you have multiple titles, I would suggest keeping everything aligned to the left and bolding and underlining those titles. But like I said, it's up to you and how you want your document to look. Moving on. So the next component we're going to talk about is parenthetical citations. And this is how you prevent from plagiarizing. All right. Now, it is okay for you to use other people's work, but you have to cite that information. You have to let the reader know where you got that information from. If you don't, then you're considered plagiarizing. But here's how you do it. So immediately after any paraphrase or any quote, you want to type that citation. You want to type that citation. So immediately after any quote or any paraphrase. So for example, if you're reading on a website and you decide to type some information in reference to what you just read, that is considered a paraphrase. And you will need to cite that paraphrase. Even if it's a paragraph long, just throw that citation at the end of that paragraph. It's important. Now, what a citation looks like is basically it's going to include the author's name. It's going to include the page number of where that information came from. If there is a page number, there's not always a page number. And sometimes it's going to include the year of publication. So whichever year that information was published. So if it was a website, you'll find the date on the website somewhere. If you got your information from a book, there's a year somewhere in the front of the book, magazine, video, it doesn't matter. You can find author information for just about every source. You just have to look a little harder. And there are other resources out there like BibMe. I think it's BibMe is what it's called, and that's a add-on to Google Docs, and we'll probably talk about that very soon once we start creating reports ourselves. So you can use these resources to help you create your citations and your reference pages for your reports. Okay. Now, speaking of reference pages, all of your citations will be listed in the works cited page, which is basically a reference page. And this page is going to be the very last page of your report. So for all of your sources that you use, whether it's a book, whether it's videos, websites, all of this information is going to be compiled in a list on the works cited page. And we're going to talk about how to format that works cited page very soon. But next, we're going to talk about endnotes and footnotes. And these are not used too often, and you won't see them often either. So, but if you do need to use a endnote or a footnote, it will only be used to clarify certain information within the body of the report. All right. Now, to type a endnote or a footnote, you want to use a superscript. And a superscript is basically like a exponent. You know, if you refer back to math and you know how you have 2 to the second power, that 2 at the end of the other number is basically a superscript. And we use them here in our writing as well. And I'll show you an example of that. So here, let's look at this example. It says, this is an example of a footnote. Suppose I wrote a sentence about mentioning an encounter someone had with a Leviathan. All right. If you don't know what a Leviathan is, check the footer of this page for clarifying information. And if you look here, you see that little one, that is a superscript. That is a superscript. All right. So that lets the reader know, maybe there's something in this paragraph that I'm unaware of. And I think what this is something not everybody knows, a Leviathan. So if you scroll to the bottom of your page and you look in the footer, there's a description of what a Leviathan is. And that's how you do a endnote and a footnote. All right. So it's just a reference. It's a reference to clarify information. A reference to clarify information. Okay, moving on. Okay. All right, so the next thing we're going to talk about is, I'm going to have to type this. Next thing we're going to talk about is the works cited page. Let me first insert a page break so we have somewhere to type. All right, so we're talking about our works cited page. Works cited page. Now, for our works cited page, where's my bullets? There we are. So for the works cited page, it's going to be used. It's going to be used to hold all of your references. And your references are any sources that you use to create your report. Your references are any are books, websites, magazines, perhaps, YouTube videos, you name it. Journal articles. All right. So when you get to college, uh, your professors are going to be really big on journal articles, and they have to be peer reviewed and credible. All right. So that's these are all examples of your sources or references. So this text is not supposed to be bold. So we're going to unbold that text. And all of these references will be listed in alphabetical order. All right. That's pretty simple to do. It's going to be listed alphabetically. Now, we also have to format these references. All right. We also have to format these references, and they have to be what is called typed in a hanging indent. Okay. And that's a pretty, I would say, advanced formatting technique, but you will learn how to do that. Trust me, I'll teach you how to do that. So type using a hanging indent, and that's pretty much it. Now there is a particular sequence of how the reference should be listed. So it's going to be, honestly, it depends on the type of format that you're using. So whether it's MLA or APA format, you're going to type your reference in a particular sequence. So that means maybe the writer's name, page name, date of publication, followed by the title of the book or the website it came from. And honestly, I never really remembered that particular sequence. It's hard to type and talk at the same time. Type your reference in the sequence related to the format you are writing in. This video went so well up until this point. All right, and those formats are either MLA or APA. There's another one too. Just I'll type it so that you are aware of it. But I don't know anyone or any subject that uses Chicago style formatting. All right. So that is that. All right. And I will add this though. You can you can use Bibme to create your reference pages. All right. Also, what is another resource I like to use? You can use Purdue Owl is the name of the website. Now you would use Purdue Owl to learn how to do your in-text citations. And whenever I'm writing a report of some sort, I always refer to either Purdue. Well, I use them both. I refer to Bibme, and I also use Purdue Owl to help me with my in-text citation formatting. And yes, so I'll show you Bibme now, and Bibme is an add-on. So, and we're finished with our notes. We're finished with all of our notes. I'm gonna show you this. It's EasyBib, not Bibme. Bibme is another resource, but EasyBib is built into Google Docs, and I always use that to do my reference pages and works cited page. So if you click on add-on, you'll see that we have an EasyBib bibliography creator. And if you don't have this as a option, you just have to click get add-ons. And we're going to select or type in as soon as this appears. Yeah, so just type it in. Easy Bib. There you have. Just click on it and install it as an add-on. Click through the prompts, and you'll have access to it. And it's a big help. I mean, I still use it because that whole remembering that sequence of how things are supposed to be written, what needs to be italicized, what needs to be bold, there needs to be a period here, a comma there. It's just too much. It's too much. So definitely use refer to Purdue Owl for your in-text citation formatting, and also use EasyBib to create your works cited page. And that concludes this video.